Hello, good morning and welcome aboard to AM News. My name is Denisia Pomaije in our very first story. Now on Tuesday, thousands of students across Ghana's public universities are on edge. Their academic futures hanging in the balance as the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana begins an indefinite strike. At the University of Ghana, the atmosphere is tense with students scrambling to process the sudden halt in services. The strike's impact is widespread with services at its standstill. Students have been left wondering if they'll be able to complete their programs, sit for example, or receive their results. The aggrieved members are striking over salary arrears, unpaid pensions, and a general government neglect of their welfare. There's more in the following report.
The association has today declared an indefinite strike because the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has begun the implementation of a call-in allowance, which they say is going to significantly affect them. In fact, they say that the initial overtime allowance was significant and that was helping their members. But with this particular new decision, it will impact their members.
It has to do with the variation of our condition of service, which is overtime allowance for senior staff. We have that item in our condition of service that as and when senior staff are required to work beyond regular working hours, holidays or weekends, they ought to be paid overtime. And it has a certain calculation, but it is being varied by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, which represented the government in this negotiation process. And so we will not sit down for them to vary it unilaterally like that.
You claim that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is acting with double standards.
Exactly.
Why do you say that?
Exactly so, because when we met at the Labour Commission, they came to the Labour Commission to testify that indeed Senior Staff Association has an agreement with them, Fair Wages. And then, in the same vein, after that 16th October meeting with them at the Labour Commission that they came to testify, they wrote another letter to University of Ghana Vice Chancellor that they are doing the right thing by not paying us overtime. They should use call-in to pay. Is that not a double standard?
So you also call on the government to take immediate steps in addressing this particular situation.
It's just unfortunate that it so has to meet with the students in school, but it is never up. We want our condition of service to be restored, not to be tampered with. Once they listen to us, why not? Even if it's tomorrow, we'll go back.
After the press briefing, the leadership of the association then began to go to the various departments to ensure that members comply with this directive.
What it will follow tomorrow? Your pension is being tampered. Do you know what will follow tomorrow? Please, the declaration was done by our national chairman in the morning. We are all supposed to comply. Please, let us all live here.
For some students, particularly those who are preparing for graduation, this strike will have a significant impact on them.
It will affect me. I won't be able to graduate. Yes, since today is the deadline, you see. So we have to have mercy, at least. You have to inform us earlier. I'm now hearing it.
It's unfair. I think it's unfair. But I didn't know they are going for strike today. I reported from Cape Coast to here.
They should have informed us earlier rather than coming to sit since morning and then we are just being informed you're going on the strike. It's not fair.
Reporting for Joy News from the University of Ghana campus here in Accra, I'm Fatal Bayaga.
Well, the University for Development Studies chapter also joined the protest. Martina Bugri has more.
The University for Development Studies has joined a nationwide strike by university staff protesting the Fair Wages and Salary Commission's decision to scrap overtime allowances. The strike, involving 3 major unions, is expected to disrupt university operations affecting students and administrative activities. The staff demand improved conditions of service and restoration of their overtime allowance, citing a 2021 agreement with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Addressing the press conference in Tamale, chairperson of the Senior Staff Association, Faidatu Al-Hassan, said they will stay on strike until their grievance is addressed.
This is an indefinite strike, and until we get positive results or information from Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, we are not coming back to work. On this note, on this date, 3rd February 2026, we officially declare a strike in UDS.
She said they deserve better conditions of service.
As part of our conditions of service, overtime is something that is due all senior staff. Unfortunately, universities across the country cunningly have found a way to deny members of this privilege. Looking at things, you will realize that senior staff are the most underpaid and our conditions are deplorable. Unfortunately, we continue to deepen the woes of the people who work so hard to make our universities survive. We are here to join hands with all our members across Ghana to say that we shall take this no more.
Also, essential services, including the morgue and dental clinic at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, face shutdown following the strike. Stephen Mensah reports.
This facility I'm standing right in front of, the University of Ghana Dental School, together with several others, will be closed down indefinitely. This follows the Universities of Ghana Senior Staff Association's decision to go on an indefinite strike over government's failure to improve their conditions of service. Haj Rafiq is the chairman of the University of Ghana Senior Staff Association here at Kolebu.
It is very unpleasant to announce to you that all members of the undersigned labor unions are embarking on an indefinite industrial action effective immediately. We are not forcing ourselves to do overtime, but our conditions of service is very clear that if you do overtime, the compensation for overtime work is overtime allowance and not call-in allowance, which is a lower figure. We all know as senior staff we are entitled to 40 days leave. The new arrangement is that they want to reduce it from 40 days to 28 days. If today they are touching our leave days and overtime and we allow it to pass, the next minute they will go to the other items. And I can assure you, even your vehicle maintenance allowance is at stake. Until these issues are resolved, we are not going to back down our decision.
Following the declaration of the strike, some workers within the University of Ghana Kolebu Enclave have begun expressing concerns about the impact on patients and students.
It will worry us a lot, in the sense that our patients will be suffering. If we are not there, patient might come, but they might not. They will not be able to see their patient. So that will disturb us a lot. That one day, we abide by our unions. They are our unions, and what they said is what we go by. So I think management has to do something about it, else the clinic, our students, especially our students.
People have served more than 30 years where they go home, their pension money is not up to 1,500 in a year.
The condition of service, it was something we have agreed, but now they are trying to do what they want. I'm a staff at University of Ghana Dental School. So for instance, somebody has a pain overnight and he comes and nobody is there to attend to. It's going to cause a problem.
The unions say they have exhausted all avenues for dialogue with management and government, leaving them with no option but to withdraw their services. Reporting from Kolebu, I am Stephen Mensah for Joy News.
Now let's head to Parliament. The majority and minority began the second session of sitting yesterday with a clash over the dismissal of some public servants employed by the previous government. The minority leader raised the matter during the previous parliament, calling for a full-scale parliamentary inquiry into the circumstances leading to the Chief of Staff issuing the dismissal letter. The matter came up again yesterday as Alexander Afenyomakin insisted Parliament must look into it as a matter of urgency. Parliamentary correspondent James Aveji reports.
The disagreement between both sides of the House started with the minority leader's revisit to the call for Parliament to establish an investigative body to look into the mass dismissal of public employees through that infamous letter that came from the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, in March 2025. The majority disagreed.
The information we had, we have in excess of 15,000 Ghanaian youths affected by this directive, and they are still at home. The understanding was that we would have to engage you so that you give us time to hear, since you are the only person who can sit or preside on this particular motion. So that, Mr. Speaker, you give your ruling for a body, a committee to be set up to investigate this matter.
As chairman of the business committee, you call this matter to be relisted and scheduled for consideration of the House. This thing has gone on since the inception of the Fourth Republic. Anytime there's a change of government, we have people's appointments being terminated, in many cases unlawfully.
We're ready, except that when one of the parties has gone to court and the matter is in court, and then you say the Parliament should inquire into the same matter. And I said it will prejudice the outcome. And our rules are clear on that.
And at the time that the application was made, his case was pending before the Supreme Court. So to constitute a committee to investigate whilst the matter is pending squarely before the Supreme Court will offend our rules.
Honorable members, please let's go back and refresh our memories.
The matter of the gold board's $240 million loss, as well as the Bank of Ghana's decision to diversify over 18 tons of Ghana's international gold reserves, also came up on the floor, and the majority mounted a strong defense for both the gold board and the BOG.
Our gold reserves, which stood at 37.1 tons in September 2025, plunged by nearly 50% to mere 18.6 tons by December. In just 3 months, we witnessed the utter evaporation of prior gains, financial phantom event that has left our national balance sheet dangerously exposed. When gold is turned to ghosts, the ghost that haunts the poor is hunger. When reserves disappear in millions and they vanish, and we are told that they are rather diversifying, the trust of the people dissolves into dust.
39 tons added by gold board gives us 3.8 billion United States dollars. Mr. Speaker, so if we lost 214 million United States dollars and gained 3.8 billion United States dollars, please do the mathematics. Please do the mathematics. Why will this House waste its precious time interrogating and investigating such a gargantuan gain to the Republic of Ghana?
Leadership of the majority have laid the bill to reform Ghana's legal education before the House, which is expected to be debated and hopefully pass within this week. From Parliament House, I am James Savage for Joy News.
Well, away from Parliament, many Ghanaians have welcomed the decision by government to rename Kotoka International Airport as Accra International Airport. The announcement signals a major change to one of the country's most recognizable national landmarks. Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga made this known while addressing journalists ahead of the first sitting of the second session of the 9th Parliament.
We are changing the name of our airport from Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. So a bill will be brought by the Minister for Transport for the name of the airport to be changed from Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. So the Accra International Airport bill will also come.
Well, political historian at the Department of History, Political Science and Public Administration at KNUST, Professor Samuel Edu-Jemfi, welcomed the proposal to rename Kotoka International Airport, saying it will serve the purpose of posterity.
Yes, I mean, it's a critical issue to look at. First of all, we need to view this from the angle of history. I think within this space, we should not continue celebrating coup d'etat in Ghana, so that immediately you see the name Kotoka International Airport, we are embracing yesterday in its form that reflects the coup d'etat in 1966 that toppled Ghana's first republic. General Kotoka was a fine soldier, but that act he contributed to in itself was, for me, an act that served as a detriment to Ghana's democratic culture and also its democratic path.
And meanwhile, a cross-section of Ghanaians on the streets of Accra agree with this view.
Very necessary. They should change it. They should change it to either Ghana International Airport or Accra International Airport. Because, Kotoka, yeah, them, he just overthrown Kwame Nkrumah, or he overthrew Kwame Nkrumah, right? So it's better. It's either Kwame Nkrumah International Airport is better. Kotoka, the plan B.
What is the history behind Kotoka? The airport being named after Kotoka? I hear he was killed there. That's the story. People want to bring political issues about it and tribal issues. So maybe Accra is in Accra. So they just name it Accra International Airport and then we'll all be free.
Since Accra is the capital city of Ghana, I think the name should be Accra, not Kotoka.
Everybody knows it's Kotoka International Airport. So I don't think if they change it, that will be possible.
If they name it Kwame Nkrumah International Airport, that is good because he was the first president in Ghana. And he was the one who built the airport, not Kotoka. Because they killed him there, that is why they named him Kotoka Airport. So to me, I prefer Kwame Nkrumah Airport, International Airport.
If it is appropriate for it to be changed, I think it should be changed and nothing is wrong with that. Yeah.
I think it's cool if you change it to Ghana International Airport. When everyone is coming into Ghana, they know they are at Ghana International Airport.
I think Kotoka is okay. Everybody called the Kotoka, so even small child have, we don't say Kotoka.
They have to change it to Kwame Nkrumah International Airport. Yes, I think that would be the best.
It's not necessary for them to change it. Yeah, it's been Kotoka for a long time, and the name is cool. Everyone knows Kotoka, so I think Kotoka should be maintained.
It's an individual name anyway. That name has been in existence for quite long. There's nothing wrong with it when we decide to change the name to Accra International Airport, just to sell the name of Accra outside the world.
It's long overdue because from the history of Kotoka and naming Kotoka to our airport, it's not something good because if you know history, so changing it to Accra International Airport is it's a very laudable idea. So I agree with it.
Now to politics. The new Patriotic Party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has paid a courtesy call on the former President John Agyekum Kufuor following his victory in the party's flag bearer race. The visit was to express gratitude to the former president for his long-standing support, guidance and counsel during Dr. Bawumia's journey to securing the party's top ticket. The two held discussions on party unity, leadership and the road ahead for NPP.
Mama Kanama.
It's now time for some business news. Zia Hunter Pili, Samuel Kujibris will bring us that right after this breather.
Let's do some business updates now by starting with how the cedi is performing on the currency market. Now, the secondary bond market activity edged modestly higher over the week, with turnover rising 20.69% week on week to 6.39 billion cedis. The following report has more.
According to the data bank research, the development reflected steady but selective participation. It said investor flows remain concentrated in the belly of the curve, where 2031 to 2034 maturities accounted for 60.9% of traded volumes at a 15.59% weighted average yield. The 2027 to 2030 segment accounted for 25.3% of the activity at a weighted average yield of 14.43%. Long end saw limited participation, with 2035 to 2038 tenors contributing just 13.7% of volumes at a 15.98% weighted average yield. The research pointed out that the recent policy rate cut reset the pricing backdrop, driving a broader repricing lower across the curve. It added that in the coming weeks, investor activity is expected to remain anchored in the belly of the curve. Returns will also remain attractive without materially increasing duration risk.
Now, Ghana has earned almost $12 billion as total receipt since the country started commercial production of crude oil from 2011. This was captured in Ghana's petroleum account with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. More in this report.
These are monies that the country realized from the total petroleum receipts from all sources over that period. That is, royalties, carried and participating interest, corporate income tax, surface rentals, and other inflows. The value of shipments since 2000 and 2011 stood at more than $9 billion, whilst other receipts like corporate taxes reached more than $2 billion. The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation also spent about $2 billion when it comes to the equity financing cost, whilst it earned some $1.4 billion in terms of the share of crude oil that it had sold over that period. Government has also disbursed some $4.8 billion when it comes to the annual budget funding amount. These are areas that government should disburse the funds when it comes to how the petroleum funds should be used in the country. The statement of account also showed that Ghana ended 2025 with a closing book value of $1.5 billion when it comes to earnings from all our oil funds.
All right, that's all in business. Back to you, Denicia.
Thank you, Samuel Kujibris, the Hunter Pele, for bringing us business. Well, that's it for AM News. For more news, do log on to myjaonline.com. My name is Denicia Pomaije. Up next is sports. Enjoy the rest of the show.